I am Neerja Shivakumar, and on behalf of the IMA Christ Student Chapter, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Day 4 of SAAT 2025, the Strategic Alumni and Achievers Think Tank. And let me just say, this is the day that we've all been waiting for. The most awaited, most talked about session is finally here. And those joining us for the first time, let me bring you up to speed. SAAT is more than just an acronym. As most of you might already know what it means together in Hindi, and that reflects the spirit of this series. As iconically, we celebrate 7 years of BCom Strategic Finance this year with 7 batches, 7 evenings of conversations, and 7 essential career skills, all beginning on the 7th of July. Now, tell me honestly, how many of you have dreamt of bagging that Big Four internship even before you graduate? Yeah, the dream of putting KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, or EY on your resume before the graduation hits? Well, today we're unlocking that very secret. The topic for today, as you all know, is securing a Big Four internship before you graduate. What's the secret? Coming to a very special speaker for the evening, beyond being my classmate and a really close friend, she's someone who's built differently. She's passionate, driven, and has this quiet fire in her that most people don't even realize until she's already 10 steps ahead. I mean, let's be real. She'll walk into class saying, "Guys, I did not study at all." And then the next thing you know is that she's the topper. Gaslight her much? I mean, let's be real. And small flex, she secured a Deloitte internship, that too from college. Like, actually made it happen and not just talked about it. But the truth is, she's the kind of person who sets her goals, drowns out the noise, and just gets it done. She doesn't just do it for show. She does it because it means something to her. So without further ado, Anshika, we would love to hear about you.
Well, hi guys. Nija almost covered everything. I don't think if I can add anything onto that. But my name is Anshika, and I'm studying at Christ University, BCom Strategic Finance, third year. And I recently finished my internship in the SRT M&A division. That stands for Strategy, Risk and Transactions, Mergers and Acquisitions. And I would love to tell you guys my story and how I bagged that and how intense it was because I did not think I was it was possible. So it's amazing, and I would love to hear questions and anything that I can share of. Thank you, guys.
To keep the energy going, just like yesterday, we're opening this session for you. If you'd like to ask Anshika a question directly, feel free to raise your hand and I'll call you to unmute. You can also drop your questions in the chat. And while you think of yours, we've got some incredible ones during the registration process. So let me begin with one, Anshika. What first sparked your interest in top tier internships? And was there a particular moment during college that gave you the confidence to go after the big four?
Well, I did not always think that I would go for an internship at a Big Four, but this was definitely a dream. I did not walk into college like that, and throughout, I participated in various clubs. I was on the organizing team of many events, and as I was doing that, I realized that this is something that I want to be a part of. So, I want to be a part of something big, and what is bigger than a big four company? So, as soon as I saw that Deloitte is opening CRI students for an internship, I had to take it. So I just jumped onto the opportunity, and I think that's what really matters. If you see an opportunity, just take it. Yeah.
Great. I love how you said if you see the opportunity, let's just take it because that's the first step you have to take. I would continue by asking questions from the chat box now. What key qualities or skills did you highlight in your application or interview that helped you secure an internship at a big four firm?
So I actually went through the whole job application, the requirements. So one thing I see not many people do is they don't really go through the job application and what the requirements are, and they just submit a basic resume that they have. And so when I went through the job application for SRT M&A, I saw that it had skills that I already possessed. So like financial modeling, Excel, PowerPoint, that's what they required. So that's what I highlighted in my resume. And I think that's what set me apart. Along with that, I had also cleared my CMA part one. So I think that also like put me on the top. Yeah.
Great. The second question from Syed is, what are the most common mistakes students make while applying for Big Four internships, and how can we avoid them?
Again, like how I mentioned, I do not see many people like tailoring their resume to the job requirement. And I also have made that mistake multiple times. Like starting second year, there were companies like D. Shaw and Goldman Sachs that came, and I did submit the same resume to both of them. I did not like go through their specific requirements and change my own resume. And I think that's why I got rejected by them. So that's where I learned to realize. I realized that tailoring your resume and including those specific keywords that are required is very important. And I think just to like how can we avoid them is to basically read the proper job description thoroughly and like pick up key points from the job description and add that to your resume.
Perfect. That was very precise. Thank you, Anshika. One last question from Syed. Can you walk us through the entire internship selection process at a Big Four firm, from application to onboarding, and what stood out to you at each stage?
Okay, that's a big question. But see, what I would say is every Big Four has their own selection process. So, like for Deloitte, I started with submitting my resume, and they selected, I think, 10 or 20 students from for interviews. And that's when I gave my interview. And after that, it was just like after a few days, they selected 5 students in total. So that's when I got to know that I have the internship, and it was a fairly easy process for Deloitte. But like some of my friends did it in EY, and Neerja did it in PwC, and she had to go through a different process. So it depends on which firm are you applying for, and you can just go to Google and search on their like unique processes, and you'll get to know better there by like tailored to your choice of firm.
I think Anshika here is truly underplaying by self, saying Deloitte was an easy process. We all know it's not easy, and she's done such a great job, and we all know how much she's worked for it. Thank you so much, Anshika. The next question for you is it possible to get an internship even if you're not part of events in college?
I think that really is not that big of a part. If you are not a part of an event, you can put up, see, your resume has to show and reflect who you are as a person. If you're not a part of any event, doesn't matter. Like in Christ, you get a lot of CIAs. Okay, so on my resume, I had no past experiences. So what I put was projects. I put my CIAs as projects that I did, and so one of them was financial modeling for a company, and I had to make and forecast financial statements. So I put that on my resume, and I think that's also like a great thing that you can do. So I would say being a part of events does give you an edge, but if you're not, that really doesn't matter because once your resume is tailored to the company profile and you're selected for the interviewer just sees how you are as a person during the interview and how well you're able to answer them. Thank you. Yeah.
To add on, I think Brahmaraj, you got your answer, and you are part of this event, which is helping you go forward with your internship. I think that answers it all. To continue,
Definitely.
from Shri Varshini, we have a question. Is it possible, as it's the same thing that you covered, so let me skip to the next one. Vaishwik has asked, from your perspective, what did not and not work for you personally during the time at Deloitte?
My time at Deloitte was fairly pleasant. So what I had heard for Deloitte was that it's very hectic and you get a lot of work. But honestly, I like the environment at Deloitte. So if anyone here is looking to work at Deloitte, I would say go for it. And so basically, I had my manager, and she was like working on a very big project. So she couldn't give me like a lot of time, but she used to make sure that I have work every single day and I'm assigned to someone so that I can learn and grow. That was her main point. I remember on my first day, I couldn't go to office because I had to go to Chennai for some reason. And she called me and she's like, it's okay, you come from tomorrow and make sure that you always have work. And if you're free, just text me and I'll get you something to do because your learning is the most important thing. So I think I loved my experience at Deloitte.
I think the experience depends upon how you take your job. And as we can see, she's taken it so sportively and saying that a Big Four company's internship has a very soft, like very good environment is great. And we can tell how well Anshika has taken it. From this, next we have a really detailed question from Johns. Did you specifically prepare for any behavioral questions, if there were any? And if you did, how did you make sure your answers don't sound too rehearsed?
I remember my interview. I messed up a little. So there weren't like any behavioral questions per se, but I remember I joined the interview. I was the first one from my batch to join, so I had no idea what I was walking into, and this was the first time like I was giving an interview at a Big Four, so I was very nervous. But as soon as I joined, the reporting manager Yutika, she introduced herself to me, and the way she said that it's okay, just be yourself, and we're just here to chat, that made me feel really well. So she asked me a few questions on why I want to join Deloitte or what I've done before, and if I know about M&A because I was joining into that department. And then she asked me a few technical questions, which I kind of messed up, but then I remember she asked me a question about what are employees, and I said that employees are the asset to a company. And she's like, in accounting terms. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then I remember laughing at that with her for like straight up 2 minutes, both of us. So I actually thought that I messed it up really bad. But then what stood out to me was that during the interview, she helped me get to the answer if I was stuck. And I was the one who reached the answer. She did not provide it to me. So I think that's what's like got me the internship, the process of me getting to an answer. So I think it's not really important if you know everything, but just be yourself and like everything's gonna be chill.
Be yourself. That's the perfect way to crack an internship and not being pretentious, as we just heard. The next question from Vanshika is, what are the soft skills and hard skills that we should have before sitting for any job interview? Things that will set us apart.
For soft skills, I would say the basic things like communication, the way you present yourself, the way you talk, like not communication, but um, the way you pronounce your words or like the way you, I'm not getting the word right now, but like moderate your word. Perfect. Yeah, moderate your words. That's important. And the eye contact, that's really important. So like when you're giving an interview, if it's online, you just got to look in the camera, but if it's offline, you have to like look, sit straight, and your body language, all of it matters. And for hard skills, I would say Excel and PowerPoint, the major things that, because in an internship they don't really see if you're completely prepared and if you know everything about the knowledge about the job that you're heading into, because they take interns to train them. Because I personally did not know much about M&A. I just knew what it was and like overall. So I think that and my learning capability that I reflected in the interview was what got me the internship. So I would say that, yeah. I hope that answers your question.
I think you just reminded me how to moderate while sitting straight and focusing. Thank you for that. As I continue, the next question is from Pratna. Did this internship help you discover whether or not you'd like to pursue this role full time?
That very surprisingly, yes. I knew I don't want audit because I just can't sit and do audit for so long. So I was not looking into an audit internship anyways. And then I found M&A and I prepared for the interview. I liked it. And then after my whole work experience at Deloitte, I would definitely say that if I get a chance to go back into M&A and like be a full-time job, do a full-time job, not even at Deloitte, anywhere, I would definitely take that. So I think internships either tell you what you want to do or either tell you what you really don't want to do. So for me, it was the better case. I found what I want to do.
I think you got lucky.
Yeah, I got very lucky.
The next question from Arnav is a really good one for Anshika, knowing her, is that what minimum GPA do you need to secure an internship at a Big Four?
GPA, again, I know it's cliche, but GPA does not matter. It only matters to pass the threshold. So every company has their bottom line for the GPA. It can be 3.2, 3.3, 3.4. Okay, so it only matters there to your qualification. If you have more than that and you're sitting for the internship or job, I don't think it matters ahead more than that. What matters ahead is how you present yourself. Again, the points that I've covered already, and what's on your resume, and how, like, what are your events, what are your skills, what are your certifications. Those matter more than your GPA. Your GPA is just just a starting point that gives you a push to sit for the internship. I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
Thank you. One more question from Arnav is, as a first year student, is it possible to get an internship in any of the Big Four?
Anything is possible. I wouldn't say that's completely out of the question. It might be harder, but yeah, it's possible definitely. If you have created your own skill set from first year and you have a good resume, then definitely go for it. There's no point in staying back. If you can, just go for it. I would say that.
Exactly said, if you don't get the opportunity, make one. It's always
Yeah.
possible, right?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Before we move on to the next question, I just want to remind you guys of the surprise that will be revealed in the end. So stay till the end as we move on to the next question from Sajan. What job roles can we expect in an internship?
That's good. So it depends on the company and the department you're gonna work in. So like for taxation, you can expect them to give you financial statements so that you can go through them and like come up the final profit and loss amounts and that. For audit, you gotta see if the way that they make the financial statements are okay or not. And for M&A, I know better. So M&A, what I did was that M&A has two sides, a buy side and a sell side. So I had the chance to work and see how both sides work. So if you want, just raise your hand or tell me again. I'll explain that also on what M&A completely is. Otherwise, I think we can move on the next question.
To add on, I think
Yeah,
that roles are very specific. It depends upon what you apply for and depends upon which department you're looking for. Like Anshika just mentioned, the M&A department, there is finance department, audit department, taxation department. So I think the roles will purely depend upon what you apply for.
definitely.
Yes. The next question from Aryan is, if anyone wants to ask a question
Okay.
directly, just this is just an instruction before we move on to the next question. If anyone wants to ask a question directly, please raise your hands and we can unmute you. You don't need to put your questions in the chat box. Thank you. The next question from Omkar is, are there any special differences between working at a big four firm and working at a mid-sized firm?
I would say definitely because a big four has their own set of structure and rules and their own client list, and they can be a little secretive about it sometimes. So, like for me, I had to sit and do work for a client, but I did not know who the client was because that's classified. And I was an intern. But I think for a mid-sized firm, I haven't worked there, but it can be a little easier and it won't be as strict. And as I would say, for a startup as well. Like for a startup, you might get even more exposure. So it depends on what your job role is and what like how well do you want to work there and how much initiative you take. So I had to like text my manager every single day to remind her that I'm still in the company and I need work today. And she at the end, I remember her saying that she appreciated that I reminded her every single day because she had a lot of work. So I would say big four companies, all the employees have a lot of work. So sometimes they might forget that they have someone to train to. And that did happen. I won't lie about that. So if you want to completely work and get more exposure, a mid-sized firm or a startup is also better.
I think that it's not about big four or a mid-sized firm. It's all about the exposure. And as Anshika perfectly said, it's not about just chasing the big fours, because you never know. A person who worked in a startup can have more exposure than we have had. So, which is perfectly said by her. The next question I would like to move on to is by Syed again. This is really nice to see such enthusiastic students in the comments asking so many questions. The question is, as students, we often have limited exposure to different domains like audit.
Madam, I love you.
Sorry for the disturbance. As I continue, we often have limited exposure to different domains like audit, tax, consulting, and advisory. So, how can we choose the right domain for our internship, especially when we haven't experienced these fields firsthand yet?
That's a very logical question, and I would say that's true. But again, internships are for you to learn. So even if you choose a domain that is not for you and that does not work for you, you can just leave and go explore other domains. Internship is all about exposure, as I've said before, and it's all about learning. I got lucky with M&A, but if I hadn't gotten M&A, I would have done any other internship and I would have realized that this is not for me, or maybe that's also for me. I might have found something else that I also like as much as that M&A or even more. So I'm still not going to completely stick with M&A. I also have my own options that I'm gonna look into. So I would say just go and research about what you want, and maybe you can find something that aligns with your choices, or just completely go into an internship, have the experience, and you get to know better when you're actually working on it. I hope that answers your question.
As Anshika said, none of us had the first hand experience yet. As she got lucky, personally, I had applied for finance, but then I got into the advisory department. Who knew I would like it, right? So I think it's all about taking the chance that you get, as none of us can perfectly know what we're getting into. You never know what's right for you, right? As she said. I would like to move on to the next question from Sri Hari. What kind of intern can we prefer, offline or online?
That's also completely a personal and individual choice. Like for me, I like going to the office. So mine was an offline internship. But if an online internship aligns with your goals, then go for an online internship. It doesn't really matter if you're in the office or outside the office. The work you do matters more. So some days even I didn't go to the office because I just did not feel like traveling 17 kilometers from my house to go to the office. So I stayed home and I talked to my manager, and she was like, "It's okay, we can give you work from home." And so I did that as well. So I think it's completely a personal choice. So whatever works for you, Srihari.
Perfect. I think it's a personal decision, and whatever you choose, as long as you're committed to it, I think it's going to be well. Next, I think Soundarya wanted to unmute and ask a question directly to Anshika. You're free to do so. Soundarya Shri, can you please unmute and speak? I think we will continue the questions from the chat box as there are technical difficulties. Sorry for that. The next question from Tanmay is, while doing any professional course like CA, CFA, CMA, is it necessary to do a Big Four internship in college?
So even I'm doing a professional course, CMA. I've already cleared my part one, and I'll be giving my part two like very soon. I wouldn't say it's necessary. Again, it's a personal choice, but a Big Four internship or any internship per se would give you really good exposure. So even while you're pursuing a professional course, an internship along with that just adds to your skill set. So I would say if you have the chance and the time and the opportunity, if everything aligns, definitely go for it because it will only help you grow personally and professionally. Yeah.
Perfect, Anshika. I think that nothing is necessary. It's about taking the opportunity and doing it for yourself. As she said, there's no set rule in the college life, corporate life. It's about what you choose and what path you choose to take. To continue, as we wait for more audience questions, I would like to ask, a lot of students worry about how their resume stacks up. What are some common mistakes and what elements actually help resume stand out?
So I've also made a lot of mistakes with my resumes. As I said before, for D. Shaw and Goldman, they came together to our college, and I applied to both of them with a very generic resume that I had created when I was a first year student. I did not change that, and I just submitted the same thing to both of them, thinking, oh my God, that's really nice, and I'm going to get the internship. But when I got the mail that I did not go to the next step, I was very sad and I realized that it was my own mistake. So I went on Google, I researched on what a resume looks like, what can I do better. So if I may, I can even show what my resume looked like when I applied to DShaw and then what my resume looked like at Deloitte. I'll do that once. Is that okay?
Yes, of course, you can.
Yeah. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so this was the resume that I put into D. Shaw and Goldman. And so here, very like big mistakes are that I used personal pronouns and that I've added no numerical or quantitative value to my work that I did in clubs or any events. And then I realized that I should have done that because quantitative change that you make is really important. So this is the resume that I submitted to Deloitte. This has my achievements clearly. This has all the work that I did with quantitative numbers, and I do not have any personal pronouns. It's completely professional. So I think these are the small mistakes that people usually do that change a lot.
As Anshika said, mistakes are common and it
Yeah.
takes courage to learn along the way. So don't be scared if you mess up the first time, it's going to get better. The next question from Srihari again is, while working in the big firm, will there be any situations to work overtime or will it only be in big fours or even all others?
I think over time completely depends on the project you're working on. So, like I said, my manager was really busy with some project and I was under her, so I was helping her with that. So there were days that I used to work overtime and I had to do my work and like submit it by a deadline. And I think that it's not because of a big four company, it's just because there was a project that needed to be done. So I think that happens in every firm. Yeah.
Perfect. I think this situation cannot be judged, depends upon your personal workspace and how you choose to work and manage your time. The next question, I think this question will relate to a lot of students here by Raghav. How can students with an average GPA compensate in other areas to still get into the big four?
Make your resume very quantitative heavy. So like if you participated in an event and got like a good position, say that you got the position on like in an event with over 200 participants. That 200 participants makes a lot of difference with you just saying that you got the third position. Okay, and then if you organize an event, how many people joined the event? How what was the audience? Who came to the event? And creating your LinkedIn profile, that's really important because you put your LinkedIn profile in your resume and your managers, they do actually look at your LinkedIn profiles. So with your resume, aligning your profiles is really important because if I say something on my resume and it's not on my LinkedIn, is a little suspicious. So I try my best to keep my resume and my LinkedIn together, and like they reflect the same things that I'm doing. So I think you can cover everything there, and I hope that answers your question.
I think the perfect way to say this in a sentence is treat LinkedIn as your Instagram and don't be lazy to update what you get on LinkedIn as well. Uh, so the next question is from Tanisha. As a BCom student doing no professional course, what are the chances of getting placements in good companies? As and Anshika has already shown her current resume, so I think that question can be avoided.
Yeah. So it's not important that you're doing a professional course or not, because as I said, we were five people selected. I was doing a professional course, there was one more doing a professional course, but there were three others who were not doing a professional course, but they got the internship because they were better in other departments, which I might not be very good at. So it's completely your skill set that matters. So I would suggest that you build it up from the start. Okay, so I don't know which like year you are in, but you can start whenever. Okay, just go on a website or like Coursera or Infosys and do a certification, or maybe just participate in an event and like be really good at it. So I would say those skill sets also matter a lot. Yeah.
Perfect, Anshika. And as she said, if there's a will, there's a way. You cannot make your own barrier by saying, oh, I don't have a professional course, so I won't get a Big Four internship. It always is possible. So it's all about how you take it and how dedicated you are towards it. The next question from Arnav is I've applied for the M&A tax role at EY and mailed my resume to the HR. I have no idea about this role or the interview process. Can you tell me what questions to expect and give me an overview of this process?
Also, I see that he's asked if we can connect on LinkedIn. Yeah, definitely. Just my name is Anshika Chaudhary. Search for that, and you'll see me there. And just send me a request. Yeah. So to answer your question, M&A tax rule, that's a really good domain that you're looking at. I would say use ChatGPT. It can be your best friend. It helped me a lot because before I was like while I was preparing for my interview, I went to ChatGPT and I'm like, hey Chat, I need some questions that can be asked to me in my interview. So in like imagine that you are the interviewer and give me questions. So I got a lot of questions, different types of questions, like technical questions, behavioral questions, what is M&A. So I think you can do that. And during the interview, as I said, see, messing up is really common. Everyone's human and you do mess up. I won't say everything can be perfect. Okay, so just take your time, relax, and answer them. If you're stuck at a question and you say that you need 10 seconds to compose yourself, that's completely fine. They would understand because you're applying for an internship and you're new, you're young. They definitely understand that. And you asking for time just shows how you want to answer and you're eager to answer in the right manner. So I think that gives you a plus point. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
And the next person, Jay, we have unmuted you. You can unmute your mic and ask your question directly now.
Hi, Anshika. What kind
Hi.
of question were asked in your interview or assessment center?
So I was asked like if I know what M&A is, and so as I said, I went to ChatGPT and I searched for some technical terms like synergies and cost structures. So while I was explaining to my interviewer on what M&A is, I used those words, and then she's like, "Okay, so you know about synergies. What kind of synergies are there?" So I explained to her like this cost synergies, this revenue synergies. So that was there, and then technical questions as in so my interview, she said that she's from an audit background and she believes that M&A is all about journal entries and where you started from. So she asked me a few basic journal entries and that was all. My interview was hardly 15 minutes. We just stopped and then she asked me a few technical questions and we were done.
Perfect, Anshika. Thank you for answering that question. The next question is from Johns. What can a student do to get an internship externally if they don't get it from the university? Does networking really help?
It does because I have I didn't know I'm gonna get an internship through college. So even I had to cold mail. So again, I searched for different structures of cold mailing and how I can connect on LinkedIn. And like when you connect on LinkedIn, you can not just send a connection request because no one would accept that. So you have to make a personalized message for every person you're sending a connection request to. So I had to learn on how to like compact my whole personality in under 2000 characters, which is really difficult. And to personalize that also to for according to every connection is really hard. So I would say to start early and just like and follow up. Like whenever you send a request, make sure you follow up. If you mail someone, make sure you follow up because that follow up also gives you an edge and they'll see that okay, this person is not joking and they're actually serious about it. So I think that's what I would have done if I hadn't gotten it through college.
I think I can add on to this question by saying I did not get my internship from the university, but guess what? I did get a Big Four internship in PwC through cold mailing, as she said. It's all possible, and you cannot give up. You have to keep on following, and don't lose hope if you don't get it through the university, as you can see live examples here. So, yes, the next question is from Soundarya. Can you share your experience in your first interview and can you give some suggestions for freshers? And how should be our resume and what skill will help us?
Okay, I think I've talked a lot about my interview. I'll still give an overview. I started my interview, I introduced myself. So my introduction was very short. I just said my name, where I'm from, and why I'm looking for an internship and what I'm doing. So I was sure to include my some of my achievements like that I've cleared my Part 1 CMA and that I'm the vice president for the IMA Christ chapter. And so I made sure that it's short, crisp, and yet it includes everything that I'm currently doing and what I currently stand for. And after that, it was just technical questions, and we were just going back and forth and talking. So I was just basically, it was a very chill and easy environment where I gave my interview because my reporting manager made me feel relaxed. So I hope that's the case with everyone. And what was the next question? For resume. Yeah. So for resume, as I showed you my both of my resumes, there are very small mistakes like don't use a picture, okay, and when you're quoting your name there's a structure to a resume. So sometimes each company has their own resume structure, so they provide you with that and you got to follow that. So make sure to personalize your resume for every single job that you're applying for, and quantify your resume as much as you can. Put in your all your certifications that you're doing that are relevant to the job, not every single certification that you've done, because people do a lot of certifications but only one or two are required for that particular job. So make sure to put only those, and with skills as well I would say the same thing. Yeah.
I think we have a really interesting question next from Nadish. What did you do beyond your JD that helped you stand out or blend in better with the team dynamics during the internship? Any coffee talk, memes?
Definitely. So I remember I started a little late than the others that joined with me. So I did not know anyone, and they had already made a group. So I was like, I have to like intervene and introduce myself in a better way. So the first day I went and I introduced myself, and there was free coffee in Deloitte. So that was one major thing that I was really happy about. So yeah, with the team, it's just basically everyone is of different age, and it's a completely different dynamic than your college and your school. So it was a big shock at first, but then I got comfortable with it, and like towards the end, I was friends with everyone around me in the team. So I would say just like be open to new people and opportunities and new ideas as well, because there are a lot of different kind of people you will meet in your office.
Perfect, Anshika. That was really nice. Like the big fours have free coffee. I think that's a major pro that we all get. And Blake's question is that was it a paid internship?
Yes, Blake, it was a paid internship.
I think short and sweet. I think all big four companies usually have a paid internship,
Yeah.
and what you should be looking for is the exposure first. Of course, payment is important. So, moving on, the last two audience questions. As we see the demand for today, it's going really well. I would like to end it with last two audience questions. One is from Raghav. That is, what should someone keep in mind to convert their internship into a PPO at a big four firm?
How you initiate everything. Take initiative. So as I said, I was one to text my manager every single day or on the group that we were on that I'm free and if someone has work, they can contact me. So I would text that at 9 and by like 9:30 or 10, I had someone contacting me with work and we would get on a call. I would introduce myself to a new person. So when you realize that you're taking initiative, you're meeting a lot of people in your own firm. So because those connections are gonna like play a big role if you're gonna get a PPO or not. So I would say just talk to everyone around you when you're doing an internship.
Perfect, Anshika. The last audience question for today is what sector kind of certifications will you make stand out in the bunch of resumes?
I cannot answer that specifically because again, certifications are also personalized. So it depends on what you are aiming for, what's your goal. So take on certifications that align with your personal goal. So like for me, I am into finance. I don't like audit that much and I'm into M&A now. So my certifications look like my functions, financial functions in Excel and all that. So I usually try to make my skills better in Excel and PowerPoint that aligns more to my goals. But if you are looking on something else, like if you're looking into taxation, you should know what the tax regimes are, and you should like create your skill set around that. So it's completely personalized and depends on your own goal.
I think Anshika has done a perfectly great job answering all the audience questions. And as she said, internship is not one size fits all, and it's personalized along to your needs. And one last question for the day, if you had to leave us with one line of advice, what would it be?
I've said this I think multiple times during the whole SAAT interview. I would say you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be prepared on what you want.
Short and sweet. Thank you so much, Anshika. Now, I would just like to tell the audience, remember that surprise we teased earlier? Well, here's the reveal. On the 13th of July, we're hosting a SAAT trivia right here on this Google Meet link. It's not just going to be interesting, it's going to be fun, competitive, and yes, there are prizes waiting for the winner. So don't miss out and mark your calendars. Stay tuned till the very end of SAAT 2025. And with that note, before we end today's session, I want to take a moment to express our deepest gratitude to the Department of Commerce, Christ University, for their unwavering support, encouragement, and belief in student led initiatives like SAAT. We also extend heartfelt thanks to the IMA Bangalore chapter for their consistent mentorship and to our faculty coordinator, Dr. Sunil MP. SAAT is more than just a speaker series. It's a platform where alumni, achievers, and students come together. And we're able to do that only because we have institutions that truly believe in the power of learning together. And wait, quick question. Ever wondered if it's actually possible to crack IIM without completely burning out? Well, tomorrow's session is all about that. Arnav Bhati, our senior, will be joining us to talk about how to get into IIM without losing your mind in the process. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. And to add on, it would really be helpful if you guys fill out the feedback form as we want to make these sessions specially curated for you so that you get the best out of it as well. Thank you everyone who joined us today. We'll see you tomorrow for the day 5th of SAT 2025. Thank you. Thank you, Anshika.